Hey everyone, this is Alex, the Nash. I'm joined here with my sidekick, Chewy, the Chihuahua. Say hi, Chewy. He's like, you woke me up for this. Wanted to try something new on YouTube a little bit here and give myself more of a space to show off some records that I have that I think are really cool. Maybe start making more videos talking about music and some of the albums that I have. So I thought for this first one here, trying out this new thing, I would show some of the records that I've gotten over the past month or so, month and a half. Some of these are records that I feel like don't get talked about very much. And if this bombs, if it does nothing, then that's fine. And it'll just be a space for me to talk about some cool music. And if it does really well, then it does really well. So one of my big genres that I like to buy a lot of is hair and glam metal. I'm really kind of a sucker for it. I bought a lot of hair and glam stuff over the past month and a half, which I'll show you in just a little bit. I'm going to start off with the records that aren't hair and glam. So this first one is The Decline of Western Civilization. Now, a lot of people know the Decline of Western Civilization, the metal years, the one with all the heavy metal guys and Chris Holmes drunk in the swimming pool with all the vodka. This movie, I feel like, does not get talked about as much. This is the first one, the one that focuses more on the punk bands. You could kind of see some of the bands in there. You got Black Flag, the Circle Jerks, Fear, Axe, the Germs. So this is a soundtrack album. I found this at a flea market, and I was super stoked. I found this for a really, really good price. It's all live recordings from the documentary. It's super, super cool. I would definitely recommend trying to find one of these, giving it a listen. The live versions on this are super cool. This one is a garage sale find. Arctic Monkeys' first album. Whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not. I'm not a huge Arctic Monkeys fan, but I really do like the first two albums. This album is really, really good, especially side one. I think this is an original 2006 pressing. Not 100% sure, but I have reason to believe that it is. And this was a cool garage sale pickup that I didn't expect to find. This album is another one that I found at a garage sale. The Tubes Remote Control, big Tubes fan, especially their later stuff. I know that's kind of controversial and it goes against what a lot of Tubes fans feel. But this album I picked up because it is a white label promo. You can see the label there. And got a good price on this. This is a really, really good album. It's a concept album. The Tubes were kind of known for that, especially in their early, more artsy days. And it's a really, really good listen. I like a lot of the songs on here. It's like the band's statement on how TV is kind of taken over and just becoming this huge deity almost. So, yeah, cool album. These next two were big finds for me. I found these at Toad Hall, one of my local record stores in Rockford, Illinois. Super cool store. I will always sing their praises. I've gotten a lot of records from them over the past 10 to 11 years since I started collecting. And these two were some of the craziest finds that I've had at Toad Hall. This first one here is Mission of Burma Versus. This is an original 1982 pressing on Ace of Hearts with the Inner. These guys were a pretty unique post-punk band. They had kind of a unique sound. They had a guy that did like audio manipulation, tape manipulation. They were very loud when they played live. I'm not the hugest post-punk fan, admittedly. I would like to get more into it, but I've just had a tough time getting into it. But this is one that I really am into. I really like this record. It's definitely unique in the realm of post-punk, and this being an original, the store had a really, really, really good price on this. So I kind of had to have it. But yeah, super cool. And then this one, Zeke, Kicked in the Teeth. These guys, Seattle punk from the mid to late 90s. They sound like Motorhead, except faster. They're really, really kind of grimy and, just very fast tempos, really dirty sounding. So this is an original 1998 pressing on Epitaph. Again, found this at Toad Hall the same day I found the Mission of Burma. Really good price on this. This is one that I've been looking for forever because I've loved Zeke for a long time. This one and their first two albums, Super Sound Racing and Flat Tracker. Those are a little bit more difficult to locate. And I mean, this one isn't easy. But this is probably my favorite of their first three. This is just great, great, great punk album. Like I said, sounds like Motorhead, except even faster. So I'm on to the hair and glam stuff now. Before I talk about the records, I wanted to show a few CDs because what I like to do is some of these, especially the later era hair and glam records, they're pretty expensive on vinyl. I mean, it's nothing compared to old school jazz or, like old, hard to find psychedelic rock. It's nothing compared to those prices, but it's still pretty expensive, couple few $100s for some of them. So what I like to do is if I find one of those later era hair and glam albums on CD, I pick it up. And I've been doing a lot of that the past couple months. I'm not going to show you all of them because there's just no point. It's not like they're super hard to find on CD. It would be a lot more special if I had them on vinyl. But a few CDs that I did get, South Gang, Group Therapy, South Gang's second album. This CD is actually pretty tough to find. I didn't realize until after I got it. In fact, I didn't even know that South Gang had any records after, I think Tainted Angel is the name of that first one. Pretty good, South Gang, I wouldn't say they're one of my favorites, but it's just one of those later era hair and glam bands that kind of obscure. So I wanted to pick this up when I found it. But these next two are big finds for me. Been after these a long time, and these two CDs are classic cases of the vinyl is really hard to find and really expensive. First one is Roxy Blue, Want Some. Really good album. I really like the production on this. Produced by Mike Klink, who, did a lot of work with Guns N' Roses. So it's got kind of that big, it doesn't sound like overproduced. Like the first album that comes to mind is the first Danger Danger record. It doesn't sound as overproduced as that, but it sounds big, I hear elements of the Use Your Illusion albums on this. But this is really good. I really like it. This came out in 92, so hair and glam was like not taken seriously at that point, not in the mainstream by that point. So if this would have come out a few years earlier, I think that its success would have been much greater. The other one, and this one I was after even more, is Wild Side, Under the Influence. Again, amazing album. Came out in 1992, so, nobody cared about it because nobody cared about hair and glam at that point. But I think if this one had come out in like 1985 or 1987, it would have had much more success. These two albums, very, very tough to find on vinyl. They do exist, but they're tough to find and they're really pricey when they do pop up. So I really wanted to get these two on CD when I found them. And of course, I went out of my way to buy these in a town that's not super close. And as soon as I bought them, I found them locally. Not in as good a shape as this, but, isn't that always how it goes? So the hair and glam records, I'm going to try to start off with the ones that aren't as big of a deal to me and then end with the more heavy hitters. So couple weekends ago, I got just some collection fillers. I found these two records I found for a really, really good price. So I kind of just picked them up as collection fillers. We got Twice Shy from Great White. I prefer Once Bitten. This album's okay. If I didn't find it for as cheap of a price as I found it, I probably wouldn't have bought it. It just, to my ears, it sounds kind of, generic, bluesy, hair and glam. Not, there's a couple tracks I like on here. I like Missed a Bone. It's got really cheesy lyrics, but I kind of like it. And then Once Bitten, Twice Shy. Obviously, the big hit off of this album. Pretty good. Not my favorite record, though. Just a collection filler. And then this, I'm going to get some flack from this for people that know me. But because I love their third album so much, I just wanted to give it another chance. I got Winger's first record. I know, it's Winger. It's Winger. I don't like the song 17. I think it's weird. But because I like Winger's third album, Pull, so much, I was like, maybe I'll give it another chance. Again, found this at a really cheap price. So I was like, collection filler, we'll give it another chance. This one I picked up a few weeks ago. I know of the record, admittedly, have not heard anything off of it except the first track. Gorky Park, self-titled. In case you couldn't guess from the cover and the language on the bottom there, these guys are Russian. I think these guys were like one of the only, if not the only, famous Russian glam band. There's the back cover right there. Again, found this for a pretty good price, and I was like, I'll give it a shot because, I know of the record, but I haven't listened to it yet, so I can't give any honest opinions about it. Just a cool piece that I thought I would show you. Next up, we got Ozzy Osbourne, Speak of the Devil. This is another record I found at Toad Hall. Didn't expect to find it. Found it. It's in pretty good shape, so thought I would pick it up. This is kind of deceptively hard to pick up, this Ozzy Osbourne record. If you didn't know, this is a covers album. It's all Black Sabbath songs. So there's no, Crazy Train or Flying High Again, any of that. It's all Black Sabbath songs. And Brad Gillis from Night Ranger plays guitar on it. I really like his guitar tone on this record. I'm a big guitar tone guy. I think he's got great tone on here. And some of the versions of the songs on here I kind of scratch my head at, but some of them I really like. And Ozzy himself, I don't think is a huge fan of this record. So, it's not on streaming services or anything like that. Not the easiest record to find. Next up, we got Kix, Midnight Dynamite. This is a super clean copy that I picked up on Discogs. I don't know how well you could see it, but it's in the shrink. This sucker is like, the vinyl is like mint. Like, so clean. I wish my copy of Blow My Fuse was this clean. It's pretty close, but it's not on this level. This is one that I just haven't found at a price that I'd be willing to pay. And I did, finally. It popped up on Discogs. So I snagged it up, and I'm super happy to finally have a copy of this in the collection. All right, now we're going to get on to some that I bought from my buddy Joe, who I know through Facebook. He's really hooked me up with a lot of killer records over the years. I'm sure that I will show some of them at some point if I continue doing this. The first one here is Johnny Crash, Neighborhood Threat. Again, kind of an unknown later era hair and glam band. I really kind of got interested in this because of the cover. Look at that bulldog on there. Like, man, some of these hair and glam records had the craziest cover art that I just like. I don't know why. I just think it looks really cool. But this, you could tell they were very influenced by AC/DC. This is kind of like a glam band's take on AC/DC is how I would describe this record. Pretty good. Again, not my favorite, but a nice listen. So this is a European pressing. And I think these next 3 records that I'm going to show you, I think they're all European pressings, which I've heard, I don't have the audiophile ears to be the judge on this, but I've heard that a lot of people prefer the German pressings. A lot of people prefer the Canadian pressings too. I can hear a difference on Japanese pressings, but other than that, I feel like they just, if a record sounds good, it sounds good to me. Like if it's clean, it sounds good, then we're good. I don't have quite the audiophile system to be able to tell the difference. Anyway, this next one here is Giant, Last of the Runaways. I don't know. These guys get roped in with the hair and glam. I don't know if I would consider them quite hair and glam. They sound more AOR to me. It's like a heavier take on AOR because these songs are just, they have these huge soaring choruses, like these massive keyboards. This is just, Giant is such a fitting name for this band because this record sounds huge. Like the hooks on this album are just insane. This album is so good. And I really only got into this album over the past couple months. This is one, again, that I got from Joe off Facebook, the guy I just mentioned. The big hit off of this album is I'll See You in My Dreams. That's the kind of the big hit off of this record. I really like the first track, I'm a Believer. That song, look it up if you've never heard it before. It just totally demonstrates what this album is all about. And I love the cover, too. When I first saw this cover, I was like, okay, it's probably like some 90s alternative band because it just kind of has that vibe to it. But no, this is, like I said, like a heavier AOR type band. All right, getting down to the last 2 here. This one is Britny Fox, Boys in Heat. Again, European pressing. This did not come with this, but my copy of the self-titled debut from Britny Fox had this. This has a promo flat with it. So there's the front. There's the back. So again, I got that with my copy of their self-titled debut. And I was like, you know what? Now I got this copy of Boys in Heat. I'm going to put that in there. I really like Britny Fox. A lot of people I don't think are too crazy about them because they're a little cheesy. Are their songs great, especially musically? No, not really. Singer definitely has a unique vocal style. Look it up if you're not sure what I mean. Britny Fox isn't for everybody. I really like Britny Fox. I really, really like their first album. I think there's parts of it that are a little weaker than the debut. I think there's some songs on here that are just as strong as the debut. And I think that you could tell that the vocalist's singing style kind of took a toll on him because it's a little bit more subdued on this record. Like I said, look it up. You'll know what I mean. It's not your conventional pretty vocal style, I would say. And this last one, Mac Daddy, Badlands, self-titled. A long time want for me. This record is not easy to find. It's not on streaming services, and it just doesn't get talked about very much. Again, this is one that gets roped in with the hair and glam that I'm not quite sure belongs there, but at the same time, I don't really know what I would call it if I didn't call it a hair and glam record. This band, if you didn't know, is the side project of Jakey Lee right here. You've also got Eric Singer in the band. I can't remember the bass player's name. And then Ray Gillen on vocals for Black Sabbath. Actually, Ray Gillen and Eric Singer both played with Black Sabbath at various points. And then obviously Eric Singer went on to join Kiss. Jakey Lee obviously coming from Ozzy Osbourne's band. So this was a super group of sorts, I guess you would say. killer riffs on this album. Killer blues rock, goes metal riffs. There are some bluesier passages on here. Ray Gillen's voice, incredible. Like I said, this has been a long time want of mine because not a cheap record. So Joe sold me this one at a good price. This sucker is like near mint. Vinyl sounds so good. So this is definitely, would it be cool to have a copy with the hype sticker? Yeah, it would. But in terms of sound, this is like the ultimate copy. And that's it for now. That's kind of my update on the cool records I've gotten over the past month and a half. Me and my brothers are planning on going to a record show in about 2 or 3 weeks here. So we'll see what I can find there. If you have suggestions for things that you'd like to see from my collection, whether it be different styles of music, whether it be ranking albums of a certain group, I think that would be fun. Feel free to let me know. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. Hopefully this takes off and goes somewhere. And if not, that's okay too. So I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing my lovely assistant in the background there. I know he's much more appealing to look at than I am. And we'll see you soon. Take care.